Good day everyone. My name is Gracelyn Castro, and this is my video presentation for a last task, which is to research three articles that focus on marginalized learners. First, we have here Addressing Marginalized Learners in International Education Towards Equity and Inclusion by Dr. Sarah Ahmed from United States. The rationale of the research. This article aims to examine the experiences of marginalized learners in international education settings across various countries. With the increasing globalization of education, it is crucial to understand the challenges faced by marginalized learners in diverse cultural and educational contexts. The article seeks to raise awareness about the barriers to education encountered by these learners and propose strategies to foster equity and inclusion in international education. Next is a research design. The research design for this study involved a mixed methods approach. Quantitative data was collected through surveys administered to marginalized learners in international schools for educational programs. The surveys captured demographic information, educational experiences, and perceptions of inclusion. Qualitative data was gathered through interviews and focus group discussions with marginalized learners, educators, and parents. The qualitative data provided deeper insights into the lived experiences, challenges, and potential solutions for marginalized learners in international education. Next is the summary of findings. The study revealed that marginalized learners in international education face various challenges that impact their educational experiences and outcomes. These challenges include language barriers, cultural adjustment difficulties, limited access to resources, discrimination, and a lack of inclusive educational practices. Marginalized learners often struggle to fully participate in the educational process and face barriers to accessing support services and opportunities for academic and personal growth. And next is the conclusion of this article. The study concludes that promoting equity and inclusion in international education requires a multifaceted approach. Educators, policymakers, and stakeholders in international education settings should prioritize the implementation of inclusive practices that address the specific needs of marginalized learners. This includes fostering a culturally responsive and inclusive curriculum, providing targeted language support, offering professional development opportunities for educators, and promoting a supportive and inclusive school environment. Last is my reflection in this research. This research on marginalized learners in international education underscores the importance of acknowledging and addressing the barriers faced by diverse student populations. As a future educator, this study encourages me to advocate for inclusive practices in international education settings. It reminds me of the need to create supportive learning environments that recognize and celebrate cultural diversity, provide necessary language support, and ensure equitable access to resources and opportunities. By embracing inclusion and fostering a sense of belonging for all learners, we can cultivate a more equitable and enriching educational experience in international education. Next article entitled Examining Marginalized Learners in Asia, Understanding Challenges and Fostering Inclusive Education by Dr. Lei Min from Singapore. The rationale of this research. This article aims to explore the experiences and challenges faced by marginalized learners in various Asian countries. By examining the unique circumstances of these learners, this study seeks to raise awareness about the barriers to education they encounter and propose strategies to promote inclusive education. Understanding the diverse needs of marginalized learners in Asia is essential for policymakers and educators to develop effective interventions that address the inequalities in access to quality education. Next is the research design. The research design for this study involved a comparative analysis of existing literature and empirical studies conducted in different Asian countries, a systematic review of scholarly articles, reports, and policy documents related to the marginalized learners in Asia was conducted to gather insights into their experiences, challenges, and potential solutions. The research also included interviews and focus group discussions with educators, policymakers, and representatives from marginalized communities to gain a comprehensive understanding of the issues at hand. Next is a summary of findings. The study revealed that marginalized learners in Asia faced various challenges that hinder their access to quality education. These challenges include socioeconomic disparities, cultural biases, linguistic barriers, inadequate infrastructure, and discrimination based on ethnicity, gender, and disability. The research emphasized the intersectionality of these factors, as learners often face multiple layers of marginalization. Furthermore, it was found that marginalized learners experience higher dropout rates, limited educational opportunities, and reduced prospects for socio-economic mobility. Next is the conclusion. The study concludes that addressing the challenges faced by marginalized learners in Asia requires comprehensive and context-specific approaches. Policymakers should prioritize the development and implementation of inclusive education policies that promote equitable access to quality education for all learners. This includes targeted interventions to address socioeconomic disparities, cultural biases, and discriminatory practices. Moreover, investment in teacher training and capacity building initiatives is essential to ensure that educators are equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to create inclusive learning environments. And last, my reflection in this article. Through this research on marginalized learners in Asia, it becomes evident that there is a pressing need to address the educational disparities faced by vulnerable groups in the region. As an advocate for inclusive education, this study inspires me to work towards fostering inclusive practices in my own educational context. It emphasizes the significance of collaboration between stakeholders and the adoption of inclusive strategies to provide marginalized learners with equal opportunities to thrive and contribute to society. By actively embracing diversity and implementing inclusive education, we can create a more equitable and inclusive future for all learners in Asia. So the last article is entitled Marginalized Learners in the Philippines Overcoming Barriers to Education by Maria Santos from Philippines. So the rationale of this research. The education system in the Philippines faces significant challenges in providing equitable access to quality education for marginalized learners. This article aims to shed light on the specific barriers faced by marginalized learners, explore the consequences of these barriers, and propose strategies for overcoming them. By understanding the unique circumstances of marginalized learners, educators and policymakers can work towards creating an inclusive and equitable education system. Next is the research design. The research design for this study employed a mixed methods approach. Quantitative data was collected through surveys administered to a representative sample of marginalized learners across different regions of the Philippines. The, survey, the surveys captured demographic information, educational backgrounds, and experiences of discrimination or exclusion. Qualitative data was gathered through interviews and focus group discussions with marginalized learners, educators, and community leaders. The qualitative data provided deeper insights into the experiences, challenges, and potential solutions for marginalized learners. Next is a summary of findings. The study found that marginalized learners in the Philippines face multiple barriers to accessing quality education. These barriers include financial constraints, lack of infrastructure and resources, discrimination, and limited opportunities for vocational and technical training. Additionally, cultural and social norms often perpetuate gender inequalities, further marginalizing certain groups, particularly girls. The findings also highlighted the importance of early childhood education in improving educational outcomes for marginalized learners. Next is a conclusion. The study concludes that addressing the barriers faced by marginalized learners requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach. Policymakers must prioritize equitable allocation of resources to ensure access to quality education for all learners. This includes providing financial support, improving infrastructure, and fostering inclusive learning environments. Additionally, empowering marginalized communities through capacity building initiatives and promoting gender equality are crucial for creating an inclusive education system. And my reflection on this research, the study of marginalized learners in the Philippines has provided valuable insights into the ongoing difficulties encountered by vulnerable groups when seeking quality education. It emphasizes the pressing requirement for specific interventions and policy changes to tackle these inequalities. As a future educator, this research motivates me to champion inclusive education and strive towards establishing a nurturing learning environment that addresses the diverse requirements of marginalized learners. Through embracing diversity and implementing inclusive approaches, we can guarantee that every child in the Philippines has an equitable chance to flourish and contribute to the nation's progress. So that's all, and thank you.